Welcome to the Marvy Woods Football Academy podcast. In this season, I'm going to be speaking to academy managers from the Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, and some Scottish clubs. As an academy parent myself, I want to bring some insight into how these academies are being run. I find that it's easy to approach coaches. I hear from players, ex-players, and parents on many platforms about their experiences in academies. But I do not hear from academy managers. This is why I want to do this season. If you think first team managers have playing staff of 18 to 25, whereas academy managers have a playing staff of over 100. That could be from the under 9s to the under 18s. These are people who are so powerful, but they just seem like these men in grey suits or women in grey suits that you just never get to hear from. So what I want to do is I want to bring to you, the listener, what they think, what they want to sign, and what they are looking for in these academies. So if you like this episode, don't just watch and keep it to yourself. Subscribe to see more and spread the word. Welcome to the Marvy Woods Football Academy podcast. Today I am joined by a special guest, Mr. Paul Gray.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Thank you for joining me. This is a Blackburn Academy manager. Congrats on the new position.
Thank you very much.
So how I like to start, I basically like to go from the start and work our way to where you are today.
Okay.
Have you ever played football for an academy or a school of excellence when you was younger?
When I was younger, no, I was never signed at a professional football club. Probably close a couple of times, a couple of trials, a few scouts watching, but never good enough, really.
What position?
Believe it or not, I'm only quite short, but I was actually a centre forward, so I was a goal poacher. I'll probably describe myself as maybe a right-footed Robbie Fowler. That's the best description I can give you.
How did you land into coaching?
Yeah, so obviously, like many young boys, obsessed with football, played it all the time, read about it. Yeah, it was my whole life as a young boy. We had a pretty good school team when I was at school. We had a lot of good sportsmen at my school, not just footballers, badminton, swimming, cricket, a lot of high-level sportsmen. And final year of high school, there was a little bit of an 8-way competition as to who was going to be the sports captain in school. And I'll never forget that day. There was 8 of us stood in the PE teacher's office, and right at the end of our second to last year of high school, and he told us who was going to be the games captain, and thankfully I got it. So I was named as the games captain in the final year of high school, and that was probably the start of my coaching journey. So final year of high school, every day, help the PE teacher, not just coaching football, coaching cricket, athletics, rugby, hockey, all sorts of things, but mainly football at our school. So I delivered my first coaching session when I was 15 years old. So 15, 16, coaching a lot at school. And then that just snowballed from there. Absolutely loved it. Found myself a part-time job at a local sports centre, delivering football sessions for them at weekends, and also doing it in the school holidays as well. Then on the back of that,
was you at this
yeah,
age?
so yeah, from the age of 16,
Oh.
and then that carried on. That moved from doing that to helping out with the grassroots club that I played for. I would help with the junior section. Nearly 30 years that I've been coaching football.
So you got your qualifications?
Not at the very start.
Yeah.
I was just helping people out, and then as it got a little bit more serious with the club that I was playing for, when the FA started bringing things in, obviously then there was a certain amount of coaches needed certain amounts of qualifications. So in the club that I was volunteering at, they started putting me for coaching qualifications. So yeah, and then probably on the back of that, I started getting some more work. Funnily enough, my first paid role in football at a professional club was actually at Blackburn Rovers Community Trust. So where I lived is probably about 15 minutes away from here, from the training ground. I used to deliver sessions in Longridge, in the town that I live, on behalf of Blackburn Rovers Community Trust every Saturday morning. So, yeah, it's interesting that probably, I don't know, 25 years later, I'm here as the head of academy.
So, did you work at any other clubs before you came to Blackburn?
Yeah, I've probably done a little bit of a tour of the Northwest. So I didn't work full time in academy football until 2011, but I was doing lots of other stuff in between. I worked for Preston North End Women's and Girls. I did a lot for Manchester United soccer schools. I spent a year in America working full time in America for MLS camps. But then my first full-time role came at Accrington Stanley, so another club just down the road.
Who are they?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that was my first full-time role. Spent a couple of years there. Amazing 2 years. Things were really, really tough at Accrington. It was a brand new, back then, centre of excellence. Hadn't been going too long. Next to no resources whatsoever at that time. Probably, at the time, the smallest football club in the Football League. So some real big challenges, but I wouldn't swap them for anything. And then jumped out of the frying pan into the fire and spent a couple of years at Blackpool. Again, I think they'd just come down from the Premier League at the time. Things were tough at the time at Blackpool, but again, I wouldn't swap that for anything. Trying to run a program with little resource and having to be really creative with what you do was great for me. I then moved on to Preston North End. Again, I told you I'd done a little tour of the Northwest. Completely different environment at Preston, a very stable club, and I spent 6 years at Preston North End. All of these positions, by the way, were in the foundation phase, so working with the youngest players in academy football. Fantastic 6 years at Preston, and then my tour of the Northwest paused for a little bit, and I actually went over to Norway, to Bodø/Glimt.
Yeah.
So I actually went from the northwest of England to the Arctic Circle. And that was for just under a year. That was around the time of COVID and lockdowns, and so what was supposed to be a 4-year contract at Glimt only ended up being just under a year in the end.
Right.
Yeah, probably due to family and lockdowns and all kinds of things. But again, another fantastic experience. Met some amazing people, got to see a different way of delivering an academy program. And then the opportunity came here. I think, like I mentioned before, my family home is 15 minutes away from Brockhall, from the training ground. And so the opportunity to come back home, a Category 1 football club, a football club with such an amazing history of bringing young players through. It was one that there's no way I could turn that down. Not at all. In my time at Accrington, Blackpool, Preston, I'd been to Brockhall many times. Yeah. I'd always said I just loved to work at Blackburn Rovers. Yeah. You know, it was a big ambition of mine. Yeah. And then I've spent the last 4 years here.
You are now in the position. So how long have you been in this position now?
Yeah, so as head of academy, just a couple of months officially. I've probably been doing the role for a little bit longer. Probably since the turn of this year, I've been a lot more hands-on in this role. Prior to that, my position previous to that was the academy manager for the 9s to 16s part of the academy. We'd kind of split it with the previous academy manager who concentrated more on the PDP, so 17s to 21s, and that transition into the first team. But yeah, I think this is my fourth different role at the club in 4 years. So I started as a senior foundation phase coach, moved on to head of academy operations, and then academy manager 9s to 16s, and now head of academy. It's been a whirlwind 4 years.
No, but that's good. You're living the dream.
I really am living the dream, because from when I first started at Accrington Stanley, in those 2 and a bit years at Accrington, I think I had 3 or 4 different academy managers in those 2 and a bit years. And each time an academy manager left, there was only me and one other full-time member of staff. So I basically had to do the academy manager's job in the interim until the next one came in. So that gave me a taste of it, and I absolutely loved it. Coaching's my background. That's how I got into football, and I love coaching. I love being on the grass with the players. However, I really do think my strength is probably more off the pitch in terms of the operational stuff, the strategic stuff. To now finally be able to get my teeth into it, such an amazing club, a Cat 1 club. Yeah, I really am living the dream.
So you mentioned that Blackburn is a Cat 1 club. For those who don't know, what does that mean and how do you become a Cat 1 club?
Yeah, so obviously there's category 1 to 4 academies. Tends to be that most of the category 1 clubs are Premier League clubs, because probably the biggest thing is the level of investment that you have to put in. So there's a minimum amount of investment that the club has to put in, and then obviously the Premier League will put money towards the rest of it. So that's probably the biggest thing, the level of investment, which Blackburn have always done since the EPPP came in, 11, 12 years ago. And then it's probably the staffing structure. So you have to have set positions in your academy within the youth development rules. So it's a certain number of physios, a certain number of S&C coaches, a certain number of coaches. You have to have someone academy operations, head of coach. You have to have all these specific positions in place. So yeah, so they're probably the biggest two.
Do you feel, so it's an auditing process for you guys to, does it hinder you in any way?
No, I don't think so.
Your vision for the academy?
No, I don't think so. So obviously, my first job at Accrington was when the EPPP was coming in. So I've lived it from the very first set of audits under Double Pass, the previous audit company, to now with PJAC, the Premier League company. And I was around academy or centre of excellences before then, because I did have a previous role at Preston North End before I went full time there as a development centre coach, and I kind of saw what things were like pre-EPPP, right at the beginning of EPPP to where we are now, and 100% the audit process has made things better. There's rules in place that protect against, that'll make sure that safeguarding is done properly, make sure that it's qualified personnel that are coaching, doing the strength and conditioning work, proper medical qualifications. And yeah, I don't think it holds the club back. The good thing is that as the audit process has evolved, there's a lot more freedom. The youth development rules are there probably to make sure that you're compliant and you're safe to operate. And then probably the standard stuff, there is a lot more freedom. So yeah, like we're not a carbon copy of Burnley. Man City aren't a carbon copy of Man United. You are allowed that freedom to deliver what you want to do in your programme.
Do you get a lot of support from the owners?
Yeah, we've been a Cat 1 the whole time since EPPP started. Yeah. We're not in the Premier League anymore. We've not been in the Premier League for a long time now. Yeah. The club even went down to League 1. The funding for Category 1 has remained in place throughout some difficult moments, especially there's not many clubs that would probably go down to League 1 or spend as long in the Championship, and that funding continues. So absolutely, we get the backing from the owners, and they put the money in every year that they need to. And I think it's probably because this academy runs really well, and it has done for as long as I've known.
Does Blackburn do academy tours? And if they do, or if you guys do here, what is the benefits, do you think, of academy tours?
So the tournaments and trips abroad?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. So we make sure that all of our players will go on at least one trip abroad, at least one. We'll try and get 2 if we can. The benefits are absolutely huge. The Premier League puts on a fantastic games programme over here, especially at Cat 1. They get to play against some top teams, some top players, get to go to some amazing venues in this country. But when you take them abroad, you go to Poland or you go to Portugal or you go to Germany, it's different. It just is.
Yeah.
Spectators over there act differently. They're louder. The environment probably isn't what we see an academy environment to be. It's lively. That's one benefit. You're playing against all different types of teams. For example, a lot of the German teams, like, they've got big strapping lads who are really strong, and you're playing against different styles. Portuguese teams, like, really technical. The Spanish teams, again, different. So you're just playing against a variety of different types of players, different styles of play. And then probably the other thing is the biggest reason I think it's important to take the boys away is you just get to learn so much more about the person than you ever would over here when they're just coming into training 3 times a week and playing a game on a Sunday. The coaches and the support staff are with the boys 24/7, and you really get to know about them as a
Traveling away and everything, and
the
seeing
parents aren't there. I'll say it all the time, it's person first, player second. And to be able to get to know the person, you have to spend a bit of time with them. And it's they're great. We put a lot of importance on them trips abroad and them tournaments.
This is a fantastic facilities that you have here. How do you think the boys find it playing here?
Yeah, we're really lucky. It's a great facility, especially when the sun's shining in summer. It does look a little bit different in cold December evening. But no, it's a fantastic facility. I think we are, we're lucky to have what we do. There's a lot of clubs in this country, a lot of academies that don't have the facilities that we have. Sometimes it's a challenge when the boys go just down the road and they go to Man City and Man United and Liverpool. We think that here the balance is about right. I think sometimes you can give these young players too much too soon. There are some places where actually what they're getting at really, really young ages, if they were to drop down a level and go and play League One or League Two or whatever, they might not have all these amazing things. But we think that what we've got here is a real football environment. We think there's enough for the boys to be reasonably comfortable, but we also don't think that we're giving them too much too soon, and we'll keep them humble.
What does youth development mean to you?
Youth development to me just means helping those young people in our environment, helping these young boys in this moment to get them ready for their next step, whatever comes next. So we've just got to do everything we can to help them in this moment. Their time with us could be short, it could be long, and we just got to do everything we can to help the person first. And then ultimately, we are trying to develop footballers, so then play a second, help them in the moment.
Development or results? What's important to you?
It's our job to develop, so I would say the job is development. However, we play football, and I know what I was like as a child, still like that now as an academy manager. I'm competitive. Probably everyone in this building is competitive. You should never ever go into a game not wanting to win. There's a difference between wanting to win and it being the be all and end all. So yeah, every single game, the coaches, the players, the staff should go into the game wanting to win it. However, can't control everything, and it shouldn't be win at all costs.
Yeah.
So if winning starts to cloud our judgment with regards to development, then that can become a problem. But absolutely, everyone should want to win. Our focus is not on the here and now. Our focus is on getting these boys a career or helping them be the best person and footballer that they can be. So, for example, we talked about tours and tournaments. We go into all the tours and tournaments wanting to win them, but if they don't win them, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, they've had an unbelievable experience. They will definitely have taken loads out of it. And actually, sometimes not winning games, winning competitions, not winning tournaments, that'll teach you a lot more about the person than if you go and win absolutely every single game. So we're not going to go and sign a load of early developers to go and steamroller every team and win every game, because actually that's probably not going to end up with players getting on the first team pitch.
So, do you guys play showcase academies?
Yeah, there's been occasions where teams have come in, and there's plenty of companies around, isn't there, that put players together and get teams together, and yeah, there have been occasions when we've done that.
Do you think of the showcase academy managers, their eye for talent?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a market for it at the moment, but they're becoming more prevalent. The aim for everyone is everyone's trying to get into academy football, and there's different levels now, isn't there? There's the academies, and then there's the level behind it. I think in my experience, there's been some good examples, but then I've also seen and probably heard of some bad examples as well. So yeah, but I think that's the same with whatever you get in life, isn't it?
So you being here, I'm sure you've seen some players who have come here on trial. For example, you've seen players who come work straight into the academy and looked good. And then there are others who you're like, not really sure. What do you feel the difference between grassroots and academy football is?
It's really, really difficult because I've seen players come in and they've had a trial and they've absolutely smashed the trial and looked like they were born to be in academy football, if you like. And then they've come in and 6 months down the line, it's not worked out and they look like they're really, really struggling. And on the flip side, I've seen players really, really struggle on trials. The club that I've been at the time, and then I've heard about them going to another club, absolutely flying, and then going on to an unbelievable career or to be a top academy footballer. I don't think there's an exact science to it. I think it's a mixing pot of all kinds of different things. And I think you see some players who are more suited to one environment than another. It's a game of opinions. So what one club likes and what one club is looking for might be completely different to what another club is. And I think it's just important for each boy to find the environment, the best environment for them, and for each club to kind of find the right mix of players for them. Like I said, I don't think there's an exact science to it. It is interesting, but so that was a really long-winded way of answering your question.
Yeah.
The difference between grassroots and academy football in terms of the players, what I would say is what you tend to see in an academy player is a bit of X factor. And that could be anything. That could be that they are unbelievably brilliant physically. And it could be that technically they're outstanding. It could be that their attitude and endeavour is unbelievable and they've got that drive more than every other player. So I would say that most academy players, definitely most top academy players that I've seen in the last 15 years, they have got something, bit of X factor or a couple of bits of X factor.
How many days a week do the boys train here from younger and older age?
Yeah, so there's activity here all the time at the training ground. It's a 7-day-a-week program. So our younger ones, the foundation phase, they'll come in 3 times a week to train and they'll play a game on a Sunday. And then in the youth development phase, again, they come in 3 times a week and play a game at the weekend. But the difference in the youth development phase is that from 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s, and we do school day release. So all the boys from 13s to 16s, they're invited in. They come out of school 1 day a week and they'll be with us for a full day. So obviously their hours are increased a little bit. And then obviously the scholars and the 21s, it's their full-time job and yeah, they're in 5 days a week and play a game as well.
So how do you deal with lateness? A player shows up late, let's say consistently, or they show up late and okay, fine, the parents have brought them late, it's not their fault. But then the session's going on and you just see them walking onto the pitch late.
Yeah, so it'd be different with the scholars and the 21s.
What's the difference?
Yeah, so with them, we have a specific code of conduct for their players. We have a specific behaviour management policy. So they might get first one, they might get a verbal warning. Second one, they're told again, and then with that second one, they won't be able to train. So they miss the day's training. Third one, they won't be considered for the next fixture for the 18s and 21s. So that's pretty clear. The 18s and players know that. And then if that continues, there'll be a meeting with the lead coaches and the player care, head of player care, just to work out kind of, is there something behind this? You know, is there a reason that the 18s and 21s? And then with the schoolboy program, again, we where we're situated geographically, or out in the countryside a little bit. We're not particularly close to the motorway. We're probably a good 15, 20 minutes away from the motorway. We have players coming from all over the northwest. We have players coming from some of the cities, Manchester, Liverpool, Preston, and traffic's not great getting here. So we have to have an element of understanding around that. And the coaches do understand that, and we know that parents have other siblings, they have jobs. It's a jigsaw. I'm a parent myself. I know how difficult life can be, getting one child to one thing, another to another thing, juggling work as well. So there's definitely an element of understanding to people's lives around that. But if it was happening all the time and it was consistent and there was no message just to tee it up, just to say, oh, we're running a little bit late or whatever, again, that might be something where the coaches will report it to the player care team, and there might be a little bit of a meeting just to maybe just investigate a little bit further, just to make sure that everything's all right.
You mentioned day release. So do you work with schools? Do you liaise with schools with the boys, and why do you do that?
Yeah, really closely. So in our education and player care department, we have Martin, who's our head of education. We have Lane, who's education officer. Jack, player care officer. We have a club safeguarding manager. And they'll liaise really, really closely. So we'll get all the school reports from under 9s right up to under 16s. We'll get every single school report into them. We have a tracking document. So if a report comes in or some feedback comes back in from the head of year or the teacher that their standards have dropped or things of standards are dropping a little bit, there'll be an intervention from us. So the education team will pass it on to the coaches. There might be a meeting with the boy and the parents just to say, look, we've had this back from school. You're either not meeting your educational targets or you're not meeting the required standards with regards to your attitude and behaviour. So we'll flag it up. We'll have that meeting with the boy and with the parents. So if they're coming out on day release and it gets flagged up to us from the school about behaviour or about academic progress, and we agree as a school and as a club that they shouldn't be coming out on day release, that'll stop until it improves. So yeah, that's happened regularly.
So a lot of people out there would say, what's the relevance? Because if they're good footballers, why are you worried about what they're doing at school?
I mean, I think it's all linked. We pride ourselves on our environment. I mentioned it before, person first, player second. So we want them first and foremost to be a good person. So if they're not behaving properly at school, they're not putting the effort into progressing academically, we're going to have a little bit of a problem. Arte et labore means by skill and hard work. They might not be the best academically, they might not be top of the class, but as a minimum, they can work hard at it. So it's really, really important to us that they do work hard at school and they do try their very best. And we don't know what's going to happen here. They're not all going to be footballers. So although they might think that now, although the parents might really hope that, we've got to make sure that we've got a duty of care to set them up in life. If we can encourage them, if we can influence them to do better at school and to come out of school with best results they can possibly get, we can know ourselves that we've done everything we can to set them up for that next step on their journey, even if it's not with us, even if it's somewhere else, or if it's going and getting a scholarship at an American university or something like that. So yeah, it's really important.
Cool. So you have a player whose hair starts as a striker and you think that player needs to be on the wings, or you have a defender who you think, no, you need to move defensive midfield, and the parents are like, no, my Jack doesn't play there, he plays on the wings all the time.
Yeah.
How do you deal with difficult parents at the club, or have you dealt with that kind of behaviour?
Yeah, I probably dealt with many difficult parents in the last 15 years. Yeah, listen, and I'm going to be honest, the way I deal with those challenging moments with parents now compared to 15 years ago is very, very different.
Okay.
Very, very different.
Good or bad?
Yeah, I'm much better at those conversations and than I was 15 years ago. I was actually given some really bad advice when I first went into professional football. The advice was, keep parents as far away as you possibly can. Don't even engage with them. If you don't have to, don't even have a conversation with them. And that was really bad advice. And that person was quite influential at the time. And then I looked up to that person, and I was like, oh, right, okay. Yeah, so don't talk to parents, just ignore. And I probably was right at the start quite standoffish, and would try and keep them at arm's length and communicate very little with them. But actually, I probably realised a few years in that actually that's definitely not the way to deal with this, because it was just creating more problems, and there was no lines of communication, and they would end up second guessing, what I was thinking and what we were doing as a club. So actually, the key for me is just absolute honesty and transparency at every single step on the journey. Now, I will always promise the parents that if we've got something to tell them about their son and where he's up to on his journey, we just tell them straight away. We've got to be honest. There's no point in keeping secrets and hiding things, and then at the end of the season just hitting them with it like that. It's just not the way to deal with things. So your example around playing in different positions, that comes up all the time. Like, you get a boy who has loads of success at grassroots in a certain position. The scouts brought him in and the coaches have signed him probably more around, I don't know, that X factor thing that I talked about. Or they've seen something in him physically, or they've seen some outstanding attributes with regards to his attitude or he's unbelievable technically. But actually, what the coaches are thinking and what the recruitment staff have thought when they've seen him, actually, he could be a good fit here, because that might match further down the line, that might match the player profiles. So again, I would just have that honest conversation and say, look, you might think that he's best there and he might really love playing there, but eventually we see him as this, so we're going to give it a go. And sometimes you've got to have a bit of a softly approach to it. We'll just dip him in there, but then we'll put him back there again. And sometimes you've got to do it like that.
Yeah.
Other times, depending on the boy and depending on the mum and the dad, you might just be able to go, no, actually, we're going to do this. And they're like, okay, yeah. Some of them like, yeah, no worries. Others, you might get a bit more resistance, and you've got to It's just about, navigating. It's them personal relationships, and it's that honesty. And one of the things that we always say it's always a part of our induction at the beginning of the season is, you got to trust us. There's many, many, many years of experience in this building. If you add it all together, there's hundreds and thousands of years of experience in youth development. So many boys on their journeys, some that have made it, some that haven't made it. So yeah, they've got to kind of trust us. And as a parent, that's difficult. I've got two girls, neither of them play football. One swims, one does gymnastics. But me, as someone who is in youth development and spent a long time as a coach, and I'm around these environments, sometimes I'm watching the swimming sessions and I'm watching the gymnastic sessions and I'm thinking, why are they doing that with them? But all my years experience, no, just to go like that.
So you're not the one going over to the swimming coach and going,
a couple of times I've asked questions, but not in a confrontational way. I've just gone, is there any chance you could just let me know? And then I've gone, oh, right. I get it. And I've been sat there for an hour thinking, I don't get this. Yeah. But then I've asked the question and they've told me, I've gone, all right, yeah. That's cool. So, but that's easy for me to say, because I've been around it for a long time.
So you have boys here that obviously go on loan. Have you seen boys go on loan, and obviously they were good loans, but the boys who go on loan and don't do very well, what do you think that stems down to?
I actually don't think you can have a bad loan.
You don't?
No. Because even if that loan, on the face of it, looks like it's been a disaster, they've not played, they've fallen out with the coach or the manager, or they've really, really struggled, or it's been too easy. Actually, I'm a big believer that whatever you do, you're always going to get something out of it. You're always going to get something out of it. So, I don't know, one I can think of, how many loans did Harry Kane have? And I'm sure all of those loans, there was probably something from each of them loans that has contributed on his journey to where he is now. So yeah, there might be more bad than good, but you definitely get something out of it. And then the player will learn, for the next one, I've got to do this. The staff at the club, so whether it's me or whether it's the recruitment staff, or whether it's the head of technical or the head of football operations at the club, we'll learn and go, actually, probably wasn't the right one for them, and next time we're going to think about this. And it's just as long as you learn from each of these experiences, that, yeah, I think it all adds into the pot, to be honest.
Do you think you need resilience to be a footballer? And what does that mean to you if you think you do?
Yeah, you're going to experience a lot of tough moments in football, and that's why we talk about this a lot to the staff here. We talk about it a lot to the players. We talk about it a lot to the parents. You don't want it to be a really, really easy journey that goes, yeah, it's the best under 9 player, gone to under 10s, best under 10 player, gone to etc. You don't really want it to look like that. You want it to be a little bit up and down. You want there to be some speed bumps. You want there to be some difficult moments. And some of them happen naturally. Injuries, releases, maybe playing in an age group younger than you. Some of these just occur naturally. But quite often, for the best players in the group, sometimes it can go like that. And then all of a sudden, there's going to be a point. I've seen it before. I've seen it in the past. There's going to be a point where you get a difficult moment. And if that is like that for such a long time, that when they do meet that, sometimes it can be too much and it's overwhelming. So actually, sometimes there's got to be times where you manufacture a bump in the road.
You do manufacture it?
Yeah.
In what way?
It's like, so you might have the best player in the group. He always plays up a group. He's always playing in the older age group. He starts every game, etc., etc. You know, he gets a lot of minutes. Actually, there might be a time where we think, do you know what? I think he might be getting a little bit comfortable. Let's put him back down to his own age group for a few weeks, and he might question it. Mum and Dad might come in and kick off about it, but we've got to be firm. We've got to maybe try and give them this difficult moment. And so they'll be like, what's going on? And then we might tell them further down the line. We might tee it up with the parents as to say why we're going to do this. But I do think it's important that on that journey, they have some difficult moments, because what we don't want is for them to get all the way through, they get a professional contract, and then they're sat on the bench for the first season or 2 seasons, or when they become a scholar, or they don't play in the under 18s for the first year. They're just playing a few under 17s games, or they're having to drop into the under 16s to play a game, and then for that all to be overwhelming and too much. So I think we've got to try and sometimes, even for the best players, manufacture some bumps if they don't have any.
Brilliant. What is your take on the whole Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 kind of signings? Boys born in Q4 compared to a boy who's born in Q1. Do you deal with that here at Blackburn?
Try. Again, it's a challenge, especially at the younger ages. We see in our pre-academy, under 6s, under 7s, under 8s, the boys that are in our pre-academy, I'll quite often go up, look at the registers, and we have them colour-coded, Q1, Q4. I look at them, all Q1, and most of them are Q1. And that's a challenge that we have. It's a bit of an education piece for the scouts. It's a bit of an education piece for the coaches who are deciding which players they're going to progress. It's tough. So, yeah, we're aware of it, and we're trying to do things about it. And actually, what you see is that over the course of that journey, so right at the beginning, pre-academy and probably under 9s, there are quite a lot of Q1s. But then when you get to that under 12s onwards, you so often find those Q1s dropping out, dropping away, and then you're adding more Q2s, Q3s, Q4s as it goes on. You still get some. I think if you look in a lot of our groups, we've probably got 4 or 5 Q3s, Q4s who are probably like top end of our groups. Right. So yeah, it's interesting. It is really, really interesting, and how you solve that, especially at the very youngest age groups. Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because at 6 years old, a boy born in September compared to a boy born in August, he's had such a lot more experience playing football. And the other interesting thing is you also find that in certain areas, especially in Liverpool and Manchester, in those city areas, a lot of these boys have been playing football since they were 3, like organised football, if you like, since they were 3. So they're going to be miles ahead of the boy who's only just started playing when he was 5. So we're seeing a lot of boys coming into the program now at under 12s who they only started playing when they were 9. So yeah, it is interesting, and how you identify that talent when they haven't been playing as long it's a challenge.
Is sleep important to performance?
Yeah, I think all the studies will show that it is really important. So our sports science and medical team and our nutritionist will do regular workshops with the players. We'll talk to them about the importance of food, as well as that, they'll talk about sleep as well. We've actually just changed our program around a little bit this season. So we used to, all the groups, or most of the groups, 9th to 15s used to train on a Saturday morning. They'd do a few sessions during the week, but everyone would come in and train on a Saturday morning and then play the games on a Sunday morning. So what we talked about at the end of last season in our review was that actually Monday to Friday, they're getting up early every day to go to school. One of them days for the older ones is coming into us. So it's a really early start, school or day release. Saturday, early start, getting to training. Sunday, early start to play a game. So we've actually stopped Saturday training now, apart from there'll be one group still coming in, but for the rest of the age groups, there'll be no Saturday morning training. And one of the reasons for that was let's allow them boys a lie in. Yeah, just let them stay in bed if that's what they want to do, and get a bit of extra sleep, because it's important.
So, and you said nutrition as well is important.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Just that education piece on nutrition, and listen, we see it when we take the boys abroad on the trips. That's a big challenge. That's a big challenge. Some of the stuff that the boys eat or won't eat is really, really interesting. So yeah, we're trying to educate the boys, but we're trying to educate the parents on that as well, just on the importance of diet and maybe making their plates a little bit brighter than what they currently are.
a boy full of potential and talent. You've seen quite a few here. What is the biggest distraction that you've seen stopping the kid becoming pro?
Biggest distraction, maybe some outside influences. The world's changing, or the world's changed, as we can all see. There's so much more for these young people to do now. We're in the age of social media, all these computer games, so there's just screens everywhere for them to be doing. There's all sorts of outside distractions, and I think friendship groups that the boys are in. So if we're talking about the older ones, them being negatively influenced by people who might want to go out and we start drinking or whatever and do stuff like that. For the younger ones, sometimes they've been negatively influenced by parents and stuff that parents say to them. So it's just probably that outside noise and things going on around them. The best ones are the ones that you can see there's a clear focus, or there's a clear desire. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna work hard every day, I'm gonna improve myself every single day. And then from the parents and from the friends, there's that real support. And that support can be in different ways. I've seen loads of great support from parents who are really, really involved, want to know everything, want to help, and they'll ask us loads of questions and they'll try and do absolutely everything they can. But I've also seen great support from parents who have just gone, yep, you're the experts. I'll bring him in. I'll drop him off. I'll go. I'm not going to get involved whatsoever. There's no right or wrong, but sometimes the negative stuff is when they're really, really involved, and this is friends and family as well. It's when they're really, really involved and they may be giving the wrong information. They're not trusting what we're saying. And they, oh no, actually, this is the best way to do this. I'm not saying we have all the answers, but like I said before, there's a lot of experience in the building and we've seen a lot of journeys. So I think we tend to know what might be the best path for people to take.
How do you find release and retain meetings emotionally, that period of time?
Tough, really, really tough, because you get those connections with the players and with the parents as well. Develop those relationships over the years. So it can be really, really difficult. Probably similar to what I said before, them meetings that I did 15 years ago are a heck of a lot different to the meetings that I do now. I'm pretty confident when going into them meetings. But I think what's important is to, if it is going to be that they're not going to be retained, they're not going to take those next steps with us, I think it's really important to tee it up along the way and make sure that, like I said before, being completely honest with people, being completely transparent with people and letting people know whereabouts they are with regards to their progress, so it doesn't come as a massive surprise. But actually having that final meeting is still tough. But I think what we've got to make sure is that you let people know the reason for it. And actually, although it might seem tough at the time and it might seem like a negative thing at the time, actually, it's not just like in the club's interests why we're doing this. It's probably more in the interests of the boy. Yeah, they've been with the club for a certain period of time. They'll have friends here. They'll have developed those relationships with the staff here. But ultimately, no one is going to stay at Blackburn Rovers all of their life. There is going to come a point, whether that's after 2 or 3 years or whether it's after 30 years, there is going to be a point when they're going to leave the football club. And it's just making sure that people know the reasons why, and that actually there's a big world out there and there's so many opportunities out there for them to take. And actually, it's probably going to present them with more opportunities moving forward than it would if they stayed here. Sometimes when you let your heart do the talking a little bit more than your head, you can keep players here too long. And the parents and the boys, they want to stay that up. Please can we stay? But actually, what I've seen over the years is, once all the dust has settled, people thank you for it. Like, wow, yeah, it was definitely the right thing. Now we're at this club, or now he's doing this. And I think ultimately, although it's tough, it's just a part of football, but it's also a part of life. Like, you're not going to go through life in any profession or in any element of your life, just being able to do whatever you want all the time. You're going to have some tough moments. Someone's going to say no to you at some point.
What characteristics do you need to be a scholar at Blackburn?
We talk a lot about, I mentioned this before, the arte et labore. We talk a lot about by skill and hard work. So being a good person is really important. Being someone with a great attitude, willing to put the hard work in, someone who is willing to improve and get better. So they'll have an X factor. We want them to be the very, very best that they can be. The important thing for us is, again, that they're a good person. Where we're situated in the northwest, we're around 2 massive clubs from Liverpool, 2 massive clubs from Manchester, as well as a whole host of other clubs, your Burnleys, your Prestons, your Fleetwoods. Like, it's a hotbed of football. We've got to do things a little bit differently. It's like a family feel here. We'll give opportunities to these players because we're a Cat 1 club. In the Championship, there are always going to be opportunities for boys to step up and train with the first team. You're going to get pushed if you're here. So if you show that you've got the right attitude, you're willing to work hard, you've got that bit of X factor, you'll get pushed at this football club. But we do not and will not accept players who are big time or players who don't put the effort in, that don't want to fit in with what we do here. It's really, really important to us that they're a good person first and foremost.
So everyone in this building, player-wise, they all want to be pros. What's your idea of a model pro?
Again, at this football club, I think it's someone who's going to live the values, someone who's going to be a good person, someone who's going to work hard, someone who's going to want to improve day in, day out, someone who is honest, has integrity. Blackburn Rovers, like I say, it's a family club. There's a family feel to it. I don't think you would fit in if you didn't live to those values and you didn't show every day that you were going to come in and work hard and improve what you're really good at.
What have you learned about this job and this position that you're in that you didn't expect before you got into this role?
Yeah, I think when you're in coaching, you're very much focused on one part of an academy. So yeah, everything's about the players, everything's about being out on the grass, training, playing games. And I was probably aware that being the academy manager or the head of academy, it was going to be a lot broader, but it's just the sheer volume of things that you get involved in. So,
Can you describe?
one minute you're negotiating with agents for a really high performing, high potential young player who's playing for England, and then the next minute you're talking to the maintenance team about a broken toilet, or you're meeting with the local council because a resident near the training ground has complained about the floodlights that are at the wrong angle. You think it's all glitz and glamour, agents, contracts, going and watching under 21s games and speaking to other academy managers. But actually, there's all sorts of other things that you have to get involved in, and you've got to be a real generalist. I could be seen to be always focusing on the coaching element. What I've found is I need to know a lot about medical stuff, sports science, psych, player care, the operational side of things. It's really, really important to have your finger on the pulse of absolutely everything. So you can make the right decisions. And it's important to have good people around you. So you have to have really good heads of department, which I've got here.
Is it taxing at times?
Yeah, it can be full on. I don't really switch off from it very well. Not great at, I can't really not look at my phone. I can't not check emails. So yeah, sometimes it can get too much, but yeah, I'm on the Premier League programme at the moment, so we get to work with some really, really good professionals in the game and from outside of the game as well. So I am doing some work to try and get that work-life balance right. Got 2 kids, got a wife who's also got a mega, mega busy job. So yeah, it's a huge jigsaw that you've got to put together.
You enjoy it?
Oh, I absolutely love it. Listen, the reason I came to work full time in football, I started working a little bit later. I only went to uni at the age of 26, 27. The reason was because, it's a long story, but I'm not going to say the whole story, but my dad was basically in hospital just after having a heart attack. And he said to me, you need to go and do what you really want to do. And you need to get a job that doesn't feel like a job. And I know that you want to work in football. So I did that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Final 4 questions, all roll into one. What qualities do you need to be a good academy player, academy scout, academy coach, and academy manager?
What was the first one? Player, X factor,
Academy coach,
personality,
academy scout,
academy scout, vision to look into the future,
and academy manager.
I would say adaptability.
Is there anything that I haven't asked that you would like to speak about?
No, I don't think so. Really enjoyed chatting with you. It's been great.
Well, thank you guys for joining me on this episode, and I hope you join me on another episode. And thank you, Paul, for coming on and inviting me here.
Great. My
Take
pleasure.
care. Bye. This episode is sponsored by the PV Consultant, the go-to business strategist for salon owners and solo beauty professionals who want to grow smarter, not harder. If you're ready to boost your visibility and start attracting more clients today, download the PV Consultant's free Google cheat sheet at www.thepvconsultant.net/cheat sheet. It's packed with simple, powerful tips to get your business seen by the right people. A big thank you to the PV Consultant for supporting today's episode and helping more businesses shine.